Okay, welcome into KC Sports Tonight, Thursday, January 8th. Marlia Campbell here with Gabe Swartz. Gabe, probably the big storyline for the day, other than college football, which we'll get to in a minute, but here locally, the Kansas City Current introducing their next head coach, Chris Armas, who is we would take this entire show going over his laundry list of accomplishments, but big takeaways from his introductory press conference. And then I'll zoom out a little bit to, man, 1 week, two new head coaches in the Kansas City professional soccer space.
Yeah, I would say even more so than just the press conference that he did, the thing that stood out to me was his one-on-one interview that Neil did, which has not published on our website yet, but will this evening. And Neil posed the question as, basically, Vlatko Andonovski has had all of this success. He won Coach of the Month 3 of the 6 or 7 months of the season. He led the Current to all these records last season. The only thing he really hasn't done is actually win the NWSL Cup. So why would you want to be the person who replaces him? And Armas's point was essentially, well, I'm not necessarily replacing him as much as I am just coming alongside to work with him, which I thought is an interesting way of putting it, because Vlatko is now the sporting director, and he is the one who, to a certain extent, signed off on making this hire. Of course, the Longs had more to do with it in terms of making the connection with a college roommate of theirs to get them in contact with him. It's a unique way of getting to Kansas City. It's a unique way of getting back into coaching women's soccer after coaching it 2011 to 2014 at his alma mater, and ever since then being in the men's coaching realm. So we'll see how it goes. It's a interesting choice. It is a bold choice. And we talk about things in sports as, I think, so often teams or organizations and coaches and the decisions that they make, whether it's football, whether it's any sport, really, you are a lot of teams want to avoid doing things that are different, because if you lose just doing the things that a lot of people do, that's just the breaks. That's just the way that it went. But if you lose doing something different, sometimes you get singled out or picked on, I guess, for, oh, why would you ever try doing that crazy thing? I think that this is a little bit of a crazy thing, a crazy choice, a different choice, an outside the box choice, and we'll see whether it works out for them or not.
Okay, next on our docket, we're going to kind of fly through these. Because I want to get to specifically number 3, especially here in Kansas City. By the way, if you haven't listened to Armas's presser yet, as you mentioned, on KCTV5.com, streaming on KCTV5 Plus, I highly recommend, because, again, the Kansas City Current are such a pillar in our community, and this is the face moving forward. So also would recommend scrolling through the web story we have written up about him, his accomplishments playing for the U.S. men's national team, coaching in the MLS. I mean, it's a pretty interesting read, especially for Current fans out there. KU men's hoops. Gabe, I know you guys talked about this on the show yesterday. I was not on with you all, but you and I were kind of watching the TCU game adjacent to each other.
Yeah.
I just wanted to talk about it because what on earth was that? Unbelievable finish for folks who maybe weren't watching or have a short memory. KU was down 9 with 1:14 left, which, to put that in perspective, Kansas City's 2008 national championship comeback is lauded as like the most impressive comeback ever. They were down 9 with 2:12 left, so this is almost a full minute less. They rally back despite a bizarre turnover situation with Darren Peterson seemingly asking to come out of the game again, which has been an ongoing kind of issue. Then they come back to win in overtime. Gabe, I know you talked about this on the show, but I want to hear your thoughts on having a little bit of time to sit with that today. And again, we did hear from Bill Self today as well.
Yeah, and he said again that Darren Peterson was at full speed and feeling good.
I'll believe it when I see it.
I think that the next step is really just getting through a game without ever having to completely, because we've now gone from asking out of the Mizzou game to, which was like mid second half, asking out of the NC State game mid second half, and then asking out of the UCF game mid second half, and then the TCU game is the latest that he's gotten. It was the first time that he had played in the last 5 minutes of the game. It was the first time that he had played in minutes that are designated as like clutch minutes, and he still looked really like he was awesome, and that was the part that was
hits 3 free throws with 1 second left
after sitting there on the bench
to tie the game after sitting on the bench and seemingly being injured.
None of them hit the rim, and so there's all that.
Which those are, if you've been in that situation, it's maybe some people live for it. I hate it. It's horrible. It's so stressful, especially because he didn't have the grand opportunity to win the game by hitting all 3 and had to hit 2 to tie. He needed to hit all 3.
Yeah.
To send it into overtime after, you wonder if in real time he knew how bad that turnover was, where I forget who it was. It was El Marco Jackson or threw the pass to him and he turned his back to tell Self he wanted to come out. I don't know if he knew the play was ongoing or if he thought it was a backcourt call or what the situation was, but maybe he watched it on film the next day and it was worse than he thought of it in real time, but certainly didn't look great.
And we were talking on Tuesday before the game happened, and we were talking about how excited we were to see it and see what it looks like with him playing at Allen Fieldhouse and such. And I mentioned the stat about percentage of possessions in which he is shooting the ball when he is on the court, and it's in the upper 30s. I think it's 38% still. But in Big 12 play, so the games that he's played against UCF and TCU, when he is on the floor, he is shooting the ball 44% of the time. So his usage rate
up there in the country
is so incredibly high, which we get into the Bill Self comments of like, I don't know if what the formula is or what the formula is to we're figuring it all out, but part of it as well is like the usage rate is different. But I will say this, he looked different against TCU than he even did against UCF in terms of explosion, getting the rim. He had the 3 free throws at the end of the game, but even before that, he had 12 free throws, and he was driving to the rim and he was attacking, and in a way that he did not against UCF. So I think that all of these things are to say that those are encouraging, and the fact that they won, which Katie and I talked about yesterday, was lucky for them in the sense that it avoids they get to learn and win as opposed to learn and lose, because they are clearly still learning how to play with the full complement of the roster when he is available.
Would have been the first 0-2 start to conference play in 35 years. So, yeah, to your point, it's more fun to kind of go over the film and talk about what went wrong off of a win than it is off of a loss, obviously. Outside of that span where TCU went on an 18-1 run, they looked pretty good. That's obviously
a huge
big
run.
asterisk. Yeah, outside of that, they look fine. But yeah, a team with a lot of upside, and Peterson was healthy during that stretch too, so it's not like he suddenly went out.
Yeah.
But
he also, I thought this was crazy, and like in the moment of it was being like, I don't think that this has ever happened before. If TCU had won that game, Jamie Dixon would have been the first coach who's ever beaten KU at Allen Fieldhouse with Bill Self twice.
Yeah.
And so they avoided that.
Did you see in the game clip they aired a Bill Self presser from, what was it? Was it
2013? It was the Ben McLemore team.
When he said something to the effect, I'm summarizing, but this is the worst half since like the Fog Alley
team
days.
that KU has put on the floor since they were playing against Topeka YMCA. It's one of the best Bill Self quotes.
Yeah,
ever.
Iconic. I'm glad that the broadcast crew dug that out of the archives, because that is peak Bill Self. And historically, I mean, in that 2022 championship run too, this is a KU team that lost at TCU and then one out from there. I think they won like 16 or something in a row, including the national championship. So I don't know what it is about TCU in the past, but whatever. KU gets to look past it and survive and move on to another one this week. But yeah, as you said, a little peek behind the curtain. I was working on our 10 o'clock show, and there are 5 seconds left heading into the commercial break. So I figured, great, that's about 3 minutes of a commercial break. By the time I get on set, we'll have a final score. I'll be able to say the game's over. And I'm saying in my ear, like, to our producer, is it going final? Is it going final? And he kept saying, no, there's still 5 seconds. And I'm like, what is going on? Game took another, 35 minutes after that. You got a
replay review, and then you got fouls and free throws.
Yeah, but I couldn't watch any of this. So I'm like, is my phone not updating? Like, so anyway, bizarre game. But Gabe, you wrote a nice piece about how literally historic it was in terms of odds of coming back and that sort of thing. So another one to check out on KCTV5.com. Okay. A lot to this today. One, I figured out how to spell carousel for those who watched us loyally.
Progress.
Two, I'm going to start with the Chiefs news and then broaden out to NFL news. But Connor Embry, reportedly, the Chiefs parting ways with their wide receivers coach, which is a move that I know some in the Chiefs discussion, dialogue, online space, whatever, have predicted, mainly because of the lack of, development issues within the wide receiver room. Gabe, just curious your thoughts on that news, and we can talk about the on-field wide receiver issues as a whole.
Yeah, I think it had to happen just off of how poor that position group has executed things over the last 3 seasons.
Yeah, and despite, if this were a Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore led wide receiver room, I'd be like, well, you worked with the talent that you had.
Yeah.
You had a healthy Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy. The list goes on.
The group in 2023, you can say, they may have misevaluated in terms of how talented they were, and they whiffed on believing that Kadarius Toney could be a wide receiver 1. All of that is to say they were still worst in the league in drops, and he was in charge, and he allowed it to happen for that long. And then this season, you saw mental lapses. You saw this group, I think everyone would say, Xavier Worthy didn't necessarily develop the way that people wanted him to. And you can say, he had his ankle issue, he had his shoulder issue, all of those types of things. He still looked solid the first game that he came back against Baltimore. And then from that point on, it was like a plateau, or you could say it even dipped and got worse. So I think that this makes sense. I think that Matt Nagy interviewing for other jobs and having his contract expire and probably not coming back. I say probably because this organization has brought back so many people that have, in theory, been going elsewhere, whether it's players or coaches.
I think I'm jaded in the interview talk with coordinator, because we've seen this a lot in the last couple of years specifically, and it's like this does likely seem the year that Matt Nagy moves on, be it in a head coaching position or elsewhere. But I mean, time will tell. But regardless, a lot of positions, coaching staff positions to fill, specifically offensively, heading into 2026.
And we haven't heard anything about special teams.
Yeah.
That one was the one that I think you could make a case, you can make an argument for changes being needed, but ultimately when we hear from Andy Reid on Monday and he's on Zoom and talking about evaluating things, I haven't had the chance to go through it yet, but I'll get to it, and that's a process that we'll go through and all those kinds of things. It's essentially just a word salad for him to be able to buy time to make the decisions, and maybe the decision has been made already that Dave Toub is a guy who's been with him for so long that you just give him the benefit of the doubt that it was a bad year and he comes back. That's not something that some portion of the fan base is going to love. And I would say that that's something that, like, if Nagy does come back somehow and he doesn't get a job anywhere else and they brought him back, people aren't going to necessarily love that. And based on the way that this year went in terms of the failure, and I think you can make the argument across the entire league, it's the biggest failure organizationally when you go expectations minus reality. That delta is as big as anybody in the league. So they will be judged on what they put together in 2026, and ultimately Andy Reid will be judged on it because everybody knows that he's the one making the calls more so than Brett Veach is. But Mike McDaniel's out there now today.
That was
But
the second
it's like
point. Yeah.
I would be so excited about it, but I can't allow myself to even get to that point because I don't think it's something that they're going to entertain. I think it's more realistic that even he would rather go work for Dan Quinn, who he's already worked for before, and go back to Washington, or after all this stress and attention in Miami, where he seemed like he was just going through it with Tua and the injuries, Tyreek Hill got injured, all those kinds of things. Maybe he just wants to go back to San Francisco and work for Kyle Shanahan again, and he's had experience with that. And I would presume he wants to call plays if he's going to be an offensive coordinator, or he could still be a head coach. There's 8 jobs open now. All of that, and knowing that Andy Reid likes to have so much control over the offense, I don't think it's a realistic opportunity, even though it would thrill me if it was possible.
Okay, last topic of the day. Unfortunately, Mark Palos is not on this show because he is I said unfortunately, because he is a U-Miami alum himself. He was at the last game, but college football
Do we know,
playoff,
is he in Phoenix tonight?
I have no idea. Let's see, what day is it? Thursday. So he has tomorrow
He's got
off
tomorrow
as well.
off.
Yeah, who knows? But busy day or busy weekend, I suppose, of college football. Gabe, maybe just a headline or two you're looking forward to.
Yeah, it's refreshing, I think. This is refreshing for college football. I think year after year we kind of get beaten down by the same teams winning all the time. The same, not blue bloods, because more often than not in college football it's teams that have red colors, whether it's Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, all these teams. I guess Indiana has red colors
But they're
there.
not exactly.
But they've never won a national
textbook blue
championship.
blood, yeah.
And Ole Miss
football.
that's playing tonight has never won a national championship. Oregon, that will play tomorrow night against Indiana, has never won a national championship. So 3 of the 4 teams that are in the Final Four have never won the national championship. So there's, even if you don't factor in the odds, 75% chance that we're getting a new national champion. Dan Lanning from Kansas City, so some people may be rooting for him. He is a Chiefs fan as well. And even, like, if Miami does win the title and Mark is the happiest man in the newsroom for the next month plus, year plus.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then we're getting a college football giant back in the picture, and all of the U is back, or people have said this, Texas is back, the U is back, USC is back, like to varying degrees. If they actually won a national championship, you would say definitively they actually are back being one of those top teams. So I think it's refreshing. I'm excited to see the 2 games the next 2 nights and the national championship on the 19th. And I don't know if I really have a team that I'm rooting for in specific, other than Oregon, Indiana's winner is probably who I will be rooting for in the championship game.
Yeah. And then this weekend, busy slate of, we don't have this on our little docket, but busy weekend, believe it or not, of NFL football, even though it's pretty quiet here in Kansas City. Usually it's quiet here in Kansas City because we're waiting for next weekend, but I digress. It's going to be Bills-Jags on KCTV5 Sunday at noon. Looking forward to that one, especially, Gabe, considering in this postseason run, you have no Patrick Mahomes, no Lamar Jackson, no Joe Burrow.
He always misses the playoffs. That's not a big deal.
Is it Josh Allen's year? No,
it's not. It's not, and I understand I respect the national media members who have come to the defense of Josh Allen, of like, oh, it's more than just more than just the quarterback plays the game. Yes, I agree with that. But with that being said, I don't think that a lot of other top tier quarterbacks would be allowed off the hook for missing out on the opportunity or the excuses that are being made.
You're talking about the 2-point conversion, or just in big picture?
Just in general, if he doesn't get it done again, the stat I had earlier this week about if the coach and the quarterback don't win in their first 4 years, Josh Allen and Sean McDermott are well past that, and I think that if they don't get it done again, specifically if they don't get it done Sunday at noon on KCTV5 against the Jaguars, Sean McDermott might be getting the John Harbaugh treatment, and maybe John Harbaugh has an eye on that Buffalo job, and he is like, you know what, I could slide into there and have another franchise quarterback to work with. Just a
big
possibility.
Old game of musical chairs, and then the clock resets at 4 years, right?
Yeah,
that's technically how
do
that
you
works.
have a team that you're rooting for, or
I, as Mark is a Miami alum, I'm a Wyoming alum. I don't think a Wyoming football player has ever won a Super Bowl. Maybe I'm wrong, but certainly not in the public spot that Josh Allen is.
Yes.
So Josh actually became the first Wyoming Football Hall of Fame inductee a couple weeks ago, which I thought was crazy that we hadn't inducted him
high
yet.
standards.
Yeah.
They don't just let
Apparently,
anybody in.
Goodness, it's gonna be hard to top that. So yeah, I'd love to see a little Wyoming representation down at the Super Bowl.
There you go.
And it's hard for me to root for Josh because usually they're playing the Chiefs in the playoffs. So this is the 1 year where I can have, I don't feel like I'm crossing either of my allegiances in that regard. So, however, I'm with you. I think they'll probably lose on Sunday, but we will see.
If they somehow go to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl, it would be one of the most impressive runs, just off the fact that they're the 6th seed.
Sure.
Not necessarily because the teams that they're playing are all incredible. I do think that the Jaguars, despite being the 3 seed, are the best team in the AFC right now. But they're gonna have to go win 3 road games essentially, and then win another one traveling all the way out west. So I don't see it happening, but I truly have no idea who's going to win the Super Bowl.
That was going to be my next question. It's not even a coin flip. It's like a dice roll.
No, yeah, it's like a dice roll, but it's like I've never played this game, but I know that like in Dungeons and Dragons, there's like 20 different numbers. I don't know enough about it other than from like watching Stranger Things.
Yeah.
But there's like 20 different numbers on the dice or whatever.
That's how
it's like that, and there's only 14 teams in the playoffs.
But there still somehow feel like there are 20 options.
Yeah.
Yikes. Weird time of year. I've been saying that. I mean, I feel like in the sports department, our lives really operate around the Chiefs' schedule. We have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid at the podium on Wednesdays, coordinators and Chris Jones on Thursdays. We have a Fast Friday on Friday. The schedule goes on. So to have that completely shut out for the first time in my, Mark, and Katie's careers, at least here in Kansas City. Neil certainly has a story or two about times Chiefs did not
Neil
make the
can
playoffs,
remember bad Chiefs football.
Yeah, I wish Neil was on the show today. But kind of a bizarre time of year. But again, I almost said Chiefs. Jags Bills on KCTV5 Sunday at noon, and trying to think what else we have to plug this weekend. KC Sports Tonight back at 10:30 on KCTV5 over the air. So that'll do it for us here on KC Sports Tonight. We will see you back here same time, same place tomorrow.